We benefited a lot from not just our knowledge of people in the field, in the field of ufology and the field of anomalous study in general, and kind of a wider framework. So being able to bring in people like Joshua Cutchin and Daniel Elizondo, folks like that. Joshua Cutchin, of course, he's kind of a comparative mythologist, but he is really adjacent to a lot of these issues. He wrote a book called Ecology of the Souls, which especially volume 2 is like really heavy on ufology stuff and is kind of like pushing the ball forward in a way. A lot of people point to Jacques Vallée and Passport to Magonia and that kind of idea. And there are very few people that are really pushing that area forward in terms of comparative mythology and looking at all this stuff. But Joshua is really doing that. And at the same time, like, I have a long history in TV and film production. And so I was able to like pull out, dust off the old Rolodex and bring in some like really amazing people and some great recommendations that I've been hearing about for years. So like, some of the interview stuff, it's the interview guy from Chopped, right? And like, that seems like nothing, but he lives 2 towns over from me. And like, one of my best audio buddies from an old show is like, this guy is amazing. And he was incredible. Kelly and I like had the best time with this guy, Joe Bondelich. He was great. Right. We were able to really benefit from pulling out the Rolodex and really looking at things and bring together an incredible crew. So like for the intro sequence, we got this guy, Alfie Dwyer, that does stuff for Adult Swim. I was just talking to him earlier today. Knowing people like this is absolutely incredible. It's been like a wonderful gift for the show. So along those lines, good feedback in terms of like the production value, good feedback in terms of like the tone. We were really trying to, I think that there's a lot to be said for a structure. Like, a lot of people don't think about structure in this space, especially when they're thinking about a series. They'll just like get to the end of a show and they'll be like, well, I don't know what that was. See you next week. And there's not really any, but like, you have to think about a beginning, middle, and end. And like Kelly and I were thinking about that all the time. And I'm glad that that's reflected in the positive feedback that we've gotten from people. As far as constructive feedback and things that people didn't like so much, I mean, there are aspects where we brought in people like Jeff Kripal and Diana Pasulka and Stephen Finley, and these are religious studies folks, right, that also like touch on philosophy and many other social science angles. But, they're looking at like, what is the system of belief? One of the problems that I have, and like I know that Kelly feels similarly, is that when people look at UFOs and religion or think about the two of them together, they think that people are automatically trying to start a cult or something this way, right? But sure, if you're thinking about something where you're really handling like something that's been functioning within the realm of mythology and really affects our belief systems and is kind of in these edge states in these really strange ways. When you look at it, as Courtney says in our show, when you look at the Bible, like the Bible is a bunch of anomalous experiences. Like that's why they wrote it. Like that's why it exists like that, right? And that's true for a lot of situations. The difference here is that like when some people in the community look at people like Kripal or Pasulka, they think that they're looking at a minister. They think they're looking at a priest. And in fact, these are the people that study those belief systems. They're not of them themselves. And there's a crucial distinction there. And so if we're thinking about belief systems, if we're thinking about how do we separate ourselves and how do we think about this in a structural way, in a responsible way, then it makes sense to look at the people that are analyzing the systems of belief structures like that.